Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today for Grace with Paul Gray. We're going to do some detective work this week, and we're going to use our imaginations. Are you ready for a little challenge? Good. I hoped you would be. All right. Today in stage one, I want you to imagine that you are a private detective, and a guy named Sam comes to you, tells you that he was adopted, and he wants you to help him find his birth parents. He wants to know, he wants to get insight into what his birth family was like. Now, you've done this kind of work before, it's kind of your specialty. So you start doing the research. You get the records from the adoption agency, you track the original birth certificate, you get the birth parents' names, Victor and Louise McAllister from Topeka, Kansas. No street address, but that shouldn't be hard. So you do the normal things. You start with the year Sam was born, you get the phone book, you find out that there were only two Victor and Louise McAllisters in all of Topeka during that time. They lived in vastly different neighborhoods. So now you start the real detective work. You find out that they were really different people. I'm just going to talk about the men, the prospective fathers, for the sake of our exercise here. They were as different as night and day. Both were respectable in their neighborhoods and at work and socially. Neither had a police record. Economically, they were pretty similar. Both did a little bit of volunteer work. But when you started talking to family members, friends, and coworkers, the differences really came out. As a detective, you start making a list of their characteristics. One of them had a really bad temper that was kept in check most of the time, but could erupt. That one was a foreman at a plant, and while he was fair, he was extremely exacting. It was hard to work for. He was hands-on, always watching his workers with an eagle eye, kept a little book and wrote down all their mistakes and regularly criticized them, would sometimes dock their pay. He demanded loyalty, was a harsh taskmaster, and was almost impossibly demanding. Now, if you had a history of mistakes that would add up, he'd fire you. And he wouldn't hesitate at all to give you a bad reputation when somebody checked when you applied for another job. He was nice when you performed well. The other Victor McAllister was totally different. He owned a little bakery shop, kind of a neighborhood place, but they did sell some things to some other businesses in town. He had about 10 employees, a lot of loyal customers, and a number of suppliers that he regularly did business with. You ask him the same questions, and you probed deeply, and no one ever gave a bad report about him. He was kind to a fault. He was generous to a fault. He was encouraging to a fault. No one could ever even remember him getting angry. Almost all of them had stories about how they'd messed up at work, they'd cost the bakery money, some were responsible for customers not coming back, some inconvenienced and embarrassed the owner. But he didn't seem to keep a list of their mistakes and never punished them. He gave them multiple second chances. None of them could remember not getting another chance. They mentioned how other employees took advantage of him, but they said he never complained and never turned on them. Two completely different Victor McAllisters. Your client really wants to know which one was his father. He thinks it will make a big difference in his life. So you go and you interview each of them. They're both still alive. Tomorrow, we're going to start learning what you found. Until then, thanks for watching, everybody. See you tomorrow as we continue our detective story.